Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer from JenniferWalkerIsIn.com. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about a very cool topic. And the topic is, how do you figure out when you will get married? Okay, so obviously I deal with this topic a lot in my readings, my personal readings, and it's something that people want to know about. They want to know when they're going to get married, how it's going to happen, what's that person going to look like, so forth, so on. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about techniques of figuring this out, how to figure this out. So I'm going to be talking about the tarot techniques of this, and my friend Vanita Lenka will be talking about the astrology aspects of this. If you would be interested in getting a hold of her or checking out her astrology channel, you can find out all of her information in the description box below. Guys, let me know in the comments below what you think about this. And also, if you like this, please like and subscribe. And let's jump right into now discussing our topic of how we can figure out a timing of a marriage.
So Jennifer, do you also get these kind of questions? When will I get married?
Yes.
Will it be an arranged marriage or a love marriage?
Yep.
How will be my partner? How will he look like, he or she look like?
Yep.
Where is the location of the spouse?
Yep.
Is he going to be, or is she going to be wealthy? What is the profession of my wife, or what is the profession of my husband? And of course, there are certain yogas, which people ask if the, are there, because people come through YouTube, so they know a little bit of astrology. So they do ask me, can you just tell that, is this yoga which is forming that the spouse will be a foreigner from overseas? So these are the questions I get. What do you feel? What do you get? Astrologically, I get these.
I'll absolutely get the same questions. I get, okay, when am I going to get married? When is it going to happen? What does this person look like? Where am I going to meet them? How are they going to be like? Absolutely. I get all those questions as well. The same thing.
Same thing. Yeah. So just, if we go step by step, like first thing is we must read the chart as to if there is a promise of marriage or not. That's the basic thing. In Vedic astrology, we do that. Like if there is a basic promise, then only we move further on, whether there is a delayed marriage or a dual marriage, or the person is going to totally get denial in the marriage. Maybe the person gets into a relationship, but that relationship doesn't culminate into a marriage. That can also happen. So we have to assess the whole thing in a way which is not a very simple go, but yes, we have to check so many other factors, So to start with, we must understand what exactly is marriage. Marriage is when two people start staying together for procreation. And that too, once we get the sanction from the society, that is the religious functions that we have, the religious ceremonies that are performed. In your culture, maybe they are different. In my culture, they are different. But yes, that is something which is marriage, not relationship only.
Right.
I'll be coming to the houses and the karaka later. But this is what is the, this signifies the marriage. Now, in primitive times, there used to be child marriage, if you have heard about it, Jennifer. So we used to have child marriage in back there in India. Where, the rituals used to be there, religious ceremonies used to be there. People used to come together, get together, and, there used to be a proper ceremony. But, there never used to be physical relationship because, maybe the children, it's a child marriage, obviously, they're very small. But there is no physical relationship there.
Right.
Yet there is a marriage happening. And yet there is a marriage happening. Maybe in the future, the physical relation will happen. But nowadays, what is happening? The physical relationship takes place before getting married also. Right. So marriage is nowhere involved or related with the physical relationship these days.
Yes.
Because physical relationships can happen without even getting into the marital knot. Earlier times, people used to get involved in a relationship and used to get married to the same person. But nowadays, things are very different. So we have to actually go with the times. Go with the times, live in the present. Okay, this is the era where children, you know, the young crowd that comes to me who are into a relationship, they really have such mature questions. You know, they have already slept with the person. Now what to do? I'm confused. Those kind of people, you know, they really are seeking advice astrologically, and we are here to help them, obviously.
Yeah.
Thus, marriage is a social, religious bonding,
Mm-hmm.
a family bonding. That is why it's said that along with the seventh house, as we all know, seventh house is the main house to see the counterpart, the spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Until and unless there is a involvement, there's an involvement of ninth house, the marriage will not take place. Ninth house is the religious ceremony, as we know. Is a religious, it's a house of spirituality, it's a house of customs, religions. Until unless that ceremony is there, it is not considered a marriage. Now, nowadays people run and, and marry.
Mm-hmm.
That is like, you know, they, maybe they don't marry, it's just a live-in relationship.
Right.
Right. So that is like fifth house, seventh house involvement, because the romance is involved.
Okay.
But if at all it is sanctioned by the society, or even if it is a court marriage, they run and do the court marriage because people around them are not accepting. But court is, that is legal. Again, ninth house. Until and unless it's legal, it is not, ninth house is nowhere involved.
Okay.
So that's sanctioned by the society legally, or by the society where you live in. There is a huge risk. That is what is ninth house about.
Mm-hmm.
Court marriage, as well as, you know, a big function. That is something. Seventh house and ninth house connection is there. Seventh house, fifth house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
that is something.
Your seventh and the ninth house in order to see the connection between the actual marriage taking place. Okay.
Definitely. Definitely. Okay. In your culture also, in your tradition also. See, in Sikhism there is Gurudwara. In Hinduism there is a temple marriage, or, you know, we have different kind of a marriage, you know, where the priest comes and says, chants the mantras and all. Mm-hmm. So there is a religious ceremony involved. In your case, maybe in church you are doing it, you know, or in Muslims, a Maulvi will come and do the marriage. Mm-hmm. So there is a sanctity. There is a sanctity. There is a religious involvement. So whenever there is, or legal involvement, maybe court marriage. So all that is, you know, coming to the ninth house involvement with the seventh house. And if it is a romantic association, obviously fifth house is any which way is involved. And nowadays, most of the marriages are less arranged and more love marriages, right? Yeah. Romantic associations. And there is no ninth house involvement, that is just the fifth house and the seventh house involvement, then it is the live-in kind of a relationship or something. So we have to see whether the person who is, you know, come to you seeking your advice, is there any possibility of the ninth house involvement with the seventh house or not? Only maybe, you know, now there is one more clause here I want to add. Okay. Suppose somebody has seventh house involvement, okay, and no fifth house involvement. That means he's going to a prostitute.
Wow. Okay.
Just the seventh house.
Okay.
So in case the seventh house is under the influence of malefics, Saturn, Rahu, especially Rahu with the 12th house, because 12th house is considered as bed pleasures. So if Rahu, as well as seventh house, no fifth house, and no ninth house connection is there, then it is considered to be a illicit. It's an illicit kind of a relation. Or see if, you know, the obviously transits come towards the end. So we have to see the role of dasha. We have to see the role of Navmansh also here. That's also very, very important in astrology, D9. We have to see that as well. So if there is, you know, now there are certain more houses I want to discuss before going to the dasha. You see, second house is the house of family. Okay. So second house enhances, like when you get married, you're not getting married to the person only, you know, you're getting married to the whole family. Yeah. So it is like addition to the family member. So second house is addition to the family member, of the family member to the family. So
Right.
second house we must consider for marriage.
Okay.
And 11th house again is the house where, you know, your desires get fulfilled or gain of anything.
Yeah.
So that is also very essential.
Mm-hmm.
And the Karaka, that is the significator for marriage, is Venus.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to see the condition of Venus as well.
Mm-hmm.
See, suppose it said that if, and moon also.
Okay.
In case Venus is in close proximity to Sun,
Mm-hmm.
it actually gets burnt. So what happens? Venus is the Karaka, is the significator of sperm also. So it said, you know, for childlessness, when somebody is not able to procreate or is not able to have progeny, then we must see the condition of Venus. If it is very close to Sun, that means there is sperm count is low. That is why the person is unable to procreate, to produce a child. If Venus is away from Sun, far away from Sun, then it is said that, you know, the person will be too indulgent, will be overindulgent,
right,
in sexual acts. So that is something that I wanted to mention here. Now coming to 2nd, 7th and 11th houses. Now these are, and of course the 9th house that I mentioned. So now when the dasha of these, or the antardasha, the pratyantar dasha of these get activated, or they get connected somehow.
Okay.
This is the time when the marriage will take place. Because somebody who is 60 or 70, you know, is also getting married. There are, I've seen marriages, maybe the second marriage or the third marriage towards West, especially.
Real quick. With the second marriage or the third marriage, though, don't you have to look at the different houses besides what you mentioned, though? Don't you have to kind of like, okay.
See, yeah, we have different houses. We have, yes, we have different houses. We must check different houses for that. But first of all, we must see the 7th house, the dignity of the 7th house. Okay. I will be coming to the denial and the divorce also. Like, you know, until unless there is a separation or a break in the first marriage, the person will not be able to activate the other house where he or she will be getting married again.
Right.
Right. So there has to be a, you know, a negative house also where, you know, you will see. I will come to that. So now what I wanted to mention here was actually that in the dasha of moon, in the dasha of Venus, in the dasha of Jupiter, because Jupiter gives the sanction from the family members or society. Okay. Jupiter is very important here again. Yeah. It's actually Lord of the 9th in the natural zodiac also, if not to forget that. So it's Mool Trikona, sign of Jupiter. So we have to see all these factors when we have to, when the marriage is going to culminate. Like when is the marriage? Okay. So now coming to the loss, now denial or maybe break. Okay. So for that, it's very, very simple. It's very easy. Anybody can learn astrology, I would say, if you stick to the basics. You see the 7th house, 9th house, sorry, 2nd house, 7th house, and 11th houses, suppose we are seeing. Okay, we are just checking these 3 houses. Now, see the 12th house from there. The 1st house, 6th house, and the 10th house. Okay. They are the 12th from the 2nd, 7th, and 11th, right? So what happens, any house which is 12th from that particular house becomes the loss of that house, becomes the denial, becomes the separative one of that particular house. Thus, the marriage won't take place or should not take place in the dasha of these house rulers. Suppose it is 1st house ruler or 6th house ruler or 10th house ruler, dasha is on. One must avoid these periods to get married. And in case these houses are stronger than the 2nd, 7th, and the 11th houses, these are having more of predominance in a chart as compared to the positive houses for marriage, then there is a denial of marriage, or if Saturn is involved, there is a delay in marriage. That's how we have to figure out, okay, this is what is happening in a horoscope. So We have to see nakshatra wise, aspect wise, association wise, any which ways. If these are getting, you know, connected somehow, the planets, the karakas, then, you know, the marriage won't take place or marriage will be delayed.
The Venus is in a certain sign, like, you know, like a Pisces or like a dual sign. Would that cause a divorce? Okay.
No, dual sign, whenever the karaka, that is Venus or 7th house lord, or as a matter of fact, 9th house lord, 11th lord, these all get connected with the Mercury or the dual sign. They are in dual sign or somehow connected, then there are chances of dual marriages or multiple marriages. It's not just one factor that, you know, okay, people say, okay, for first marriage we'll see 7th house, second marriage we'll see 9th house, third marriage we'll see 11th house.
Right.
No, that's not the case.
Right.
First of all, we have to see, is there a promise?
Yeah.
Is there a promise of the breakup? First of all, if somebody loses a spouse, suppose, you know, that is because of the Ketu intervention now.
Yeah.
A divorcee, Ketu. Somebody getting married to a divorcee. That is Ketu's involvement in the 7th house or 7th lord connection with Ketu.
Yeah, you brought up a good point there, actually, because actually it makes sense, because technically the person in certain cases, like as I was talking to Michael Reed about, in certain cases, the person has to take the initiative to make the divorce happen in order for a second marriage to happen. So you're saying the same thing. You're saying it's not guaranteed just because it's in that sign. It's not guaranteed that there's going to be a second marriage. Yeah,
absolutely. So we must see that first of all, there is a compatibility with the person one is going to get involved with. If there is lack of compatibility, so when is the break coming? In which dasha will the break happen? Or the separation will happen, or the divorce will happen, or the person will become widow. There are so many factors, right? We have to see. So we must see the compatibility questioned in the D1 chart, in the Navmansha also. See, there are many things that I want to discuss about the Navmansha, because, you know, we must see the compatibility through Navmansha, you know, whether there is a comfort level or not, you know, with the deity, you know, we see the deity, you know, you may call that, you know, it's really very different, because in regard to the divisional charts, we must look into the deities of that chart. Suppose in Navmansha, you know, deities can provide very good or reliable clue for analyzing compatibility. Like Deva, Manushya, Rakshasa, you know, all those compatibility zones we have to go to. Planets in movable sign, Navmansha belong to Dev group, and then fixed Navmansha, Manushya, you know, human group. In dual Navmansha, Rakshasa group. So, you know, there are much that we have to go through. It's not just a superficial thing, you know, that we are just, you know, going to be doing just the chart, the native, that, you know, if you are born with, you're born with certain configurations in a birth chart. It is like all the planets are scattered. It's the picture that is taken by the divine at the time when you're born. So that is something we call a horoscope. And then there are the houses that I just discussed. 7th house is right opposite the first house, 180 degrees apart, you know. So that is the house which we see for the people apart from you. So that is something which will decide. The 7th house will actually, the dignity of 7th house will decide what kind of people you will come across throughout your life. It's not just your spouse or the counterpart only, you know, or the romantic person in your life. No, it involves anybody apart from you. So that is the main house, you know. That is why I said, if a person who doesn't have a romantic inclination towards the 5th house is romance. If somebody is not involved romantically, might be going to a prostitute. So prostitute is also someone apart from you, neither your wife nor your spouse nor your romantic partner, but someone else. So these are the way we decipher how, you know, a person will be actually having a relationship status in his life or her life. So now coming to a little bit, I will touch not all the planets I will consider, but you know, when we are looking at the 7th house, you know, especially if we are taking into account what kind of a spouse, how the person will look like. Okay, so you know, people come to me and they definitely ask, can you tell us how the person is going to be, you know, or maybe is it spiritual, or is he going to be very you know, harsh tongued or something like that, you know. So we have to see which planet is predominant, you know, in the chart regarding the 7th house matter especially. So if sun is there, it said that, you know, the complexion of the spouse is wheatish, the height is average. So actually on appearance, I have done a video with exotic astrology, you know, all the everything I've covered, all the signs, you know, I've covered all the ascendants, that if somebody is Aries ascendant or things. So I've done that video where you can go back and check, you know, what exactly the appearance is, you know, how we decipher that. So if sun, I will not touch all the signs, all the planets right now, all the signs also, but little bit I'll tell. Suppose sun I'm saying about. So the voice will be very deep, and you know, the person might in the 7th house Surya, you know, or if sun is forming any connection with the 7th house, so that person will have a very good personality, authoritative personality. Okay. And the person will be belonging to a very respectable family. Similarly, if there is, you know, moon, if we see, if I just take sun and moon, and then, you know, people can consult you and me, you know, if they want to know more. So if moon is predominant, you know, the spouse will be very good looking, charming, fair, because moon is, of course, it's not a waning moon if it is a waxing moon, especially. So that person will have a very childish or very innocent look. People think that, you know, Mercury gives younger looks. They forget more. So the skin will be very smooth, silky, you know, if it's a waxing moon. So that is something, you know, that we have to check. So similarly, you know, I will not be taking rest of the planets, but suppose somebody has Virgo, predominant Virgo, maybe Virgo is rising in the 7th house. It's not rising, actually, it's a descending sign. So the person is very medium, medium and high, dark eyes, little flabby, having a very good smile, full of vitality. You know, that is something which, or maybe if it's a Libra there, you know, Aries and Libra, suppose. So person will be very slim, will have nice hair, sometimes have curly hair also, fair complexion and sluggish. So this is something I wanted to tell in short about the looks, the appearance. And of course, if Jupiter is involved, the person will be definitely spiritual. The person will be. Okay, and Venus gives sensuality, you know. Similarly, if we have to see the profession, see the sun, suppose we are seeing sun is predominant there. See, I don't have a specific definition of predominant because there are many, many other factors that we have to see which planet is strong in the chart, in the horoscope, in the birth chart. If there is, suppose, Surya, the sun, which is predominant, which is aspected by benefics and is carrying a lot of good dignity with it. So, or maybe is the Amatya Karak, you know, that is something which I don't want to tell, your audience will get confused again. So that is something which the planet with the highest, second highest degree is actually Amatya Karak. So we see the career with that. We decipher the career with that. So in case, you know, sun is predominant in a chart, it signifies a government job, administration, or somebody who is very, you know, having some kind of authority, you know, authority in the work. So the profession or the career will be something like administrative, magistrate, doctor, politician, teacher, can be at a very high level. So this is just to give a fair idea about, you know, what exactly I'm talking about. So
are we looking at like the planets that are in that 7th house when we analyze this? Are we looking at the sign?
I'll tell you, for you, what do you see for profession, for yourself in the birth chart? You see the 10th house.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So for the seventh house person, like the other person, which will be the 10th from 7th? Will be the 4th house.
So you just take the 10th and the 7th. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
In case we are deciphering your career, your profession, we see from where you'll earn wealth. So we see 2nd house, 11th house, 10th house. These houses we consider. Similarly, for your spouse's wealth, we have to see the 8th house.
Gotcha.
Because that's the 2nd from the 7th. We have to see the 5th house. That's the 11th from the 7th house. The state of the 4th house, the state of the 5th house, the state of the 8th house will decipher the wealth, profession of that person you are going to get married to. Okay, so provided you have the promise in your chart of getting married.
Right.
So that is one thing. And then, you know, see there is okay, I'll not take moon now. So for example, if there is Mars, okay, I'll take Mars. Suppose somebody has a Mars predominant in the chart. So the person will be an army chief, maybe full of energy. It's a planet full of energy. Or maybe would be an engineer, police, military, surgeon, maybe a surgeon also, investigator. All these professions come under Mars, where there is some kind of energy required, uniform. So that is something is Mars. So we have to see from where the person, maybe, you know, the person is professionally in the education background, he has studied, you know, something which is supposed to do with uniform, but he's not going to earn through that. That is also a different aspect. He might be earning through maybe, you know, working in a government, some other job, maybe in a private sector, right?
Right.
But where he needs a lot of courage, where he needs a lot of energy. So that is something, another aspect to it. You know, again, as I said, you know, there are multiple factors that we have to look into when we are deciphering, when we are understanding what the person is going to be, the profession of that person is going to be. So, so the next is the last one, I will say, and then we move on to the timing of the marriage, which is very, very essential. So the last one is foreign marriage. Suppose somebody comes to you and asks whether I will be, after marriage, will I be going overseas or will I be staying here? So you have to see whether the, you know, the movable Rashi, the movable sign is rising Lagna. Because if it is movable in the first house, it is definitely going to be a movable sign in the, you know, where, you know, these are all movable then. All the quadrants will be movable signs, right? So suppose Aries is a movable Rashi. So the 7th house is Libra, which is again a movable Rashi, right? Movable sign. Okay. So suppose somebody has a movable sign, then there is a chance of, there is a tendency to move from that particular place, you know, after marriage. Change of residence, maybe change of job, maybe change of country, if that is so. Then we have to see the condition of watery signs, that is Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. This also is very important. Not, see, 3rd house we say, 3rd sign we say, but that is short travels. 3rd house, that's for short travels. 9th house, 12th house is for long journeys, traveling abroad, settling also. So for settling, there are other factors. We have to see the 4th house condition, 8th house condition, and then we see the rest. But for a person who after marriage, you know, is going overseas, so we have to see Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces condition also. Okay. So these are general rules which one must keep in mind. And then we have to see Rahu Ketu also. Moon also. Moon is the swiftest, you see. So we have to see the dignities of Rahu, Ketu, Saturn, Venus, and Moon, whether they are forming connection to go abroad or not. That is something very important. And then there are, if we diversify, then comes the direction. The spouse coming from which direction? You want to do that? I don't think so. It will be too much. Because there are directions also. So people, you you can wait for another video for that, because it's going to be a long one.
No.
Okay. So yeah, so you want to take over for the timing first, then I will take up the timing of the map.
Okay, that's fine. All right. So I'm going to keep this very simple.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, I use a very blended technique. Okay, so but I want my viewers to be able to replicate this simply. So I'm just going to talk about the fact that first, it's very important before you do tarot, you have to make sure you initiate a regular spiritual practice, because it's very important that you stay intuitively in tune to, because everyone has access to their subconscious, because that's all the answers that are available to us is in our subconscious. Whether you use astrology, whether you use tarot, whatever, you're accessing a subconscious thing that everyone knows. Everyone has access to. So it's very important, whether you practice astrology or tarot, to keep yourself in tune spiritually. So I would suggest a regular practice of meditation. Also, before you start, you should also cleanse all of your cards, using sage or high vibrational music or whatever you use to do that. So I'm just going to briefly go into that. And also, you want to do a prayer. I suggest, what I usually say is, guardian angels and ancestors, connect me to my higher self and allow me to be a channel of light, okay? Because it is very important that you stay grounded, because that, that can bring a lot of interesting results if you're not grounded. That's also why it's important that you sage. If you feel like your cards are getting a little bit heavy, or they're feeling like they have a residue, it's time to sage them, okay? And it would not be a good time to do a marriage timing because the results are going to be really interesting. Okay, so the first thing you would do is the yes or no question. Now, there's a lot of techniques for this, okay? You're going to have to learn every single card and figure out which card is the negative cards, which cards are the positive cards, and which cards are the neutral cards, okay? Mm-hmm. And this is something that you have to program in your subconscious mind, okay? Even with tarot spreads, if you do any kind of tarot spreads, you have to program this into your subconscious mind. So the one thing I have to say, practice, practice, practice. With yes or no questions, you have to practice life. You can go watch the news and you can say, okay, is this going to happen? Do a yes or no question. See how many cards come out, and you want to see, okay, you can do a 3-card spread for a yes or no question. You can do a 1-card spread for a yes or no question. So if you have a 3-card spread for a yes or no question, if you have 2 positive cards and 1 negative card, it is a yes. Now you also have to look at the percentage. So what is the probability that this is going to happen? If it's a high probability that it's going to happen, you know it's going to happen, you know it's a high probability, the positive card can be less positive. But if it's a lower possibility that this can happen, you need to have a very positive card. So the Sun card would be the most positive card you can get to say, yes, this happens with practice. It's something that you have to work on, and you have to practice a lot.
Wow.
Okay.
And your intuition is very strong, Jennifer.
So, and it's the same with the no. If you know that this is a high probability for this, sorry. Yeah, there's my phone ringing saying, yes, that's true. Yeah, that's the synergy. Yeah. Saying yes whenever, anytime a phone rings and you're doing a reading or a bell rings or something like that, it's saying yes, you're so right about this. That's the omen. Yeah. Right. So it's the same thing with the no. The death card would be a hard no, so you know that that is a no. Okay, so when we do a marriage timing, we want to say, okay, we're going to do a yes or no question first. Is this person going to get married? That's the other thing that I have to cover here. It is very important to be careful about your questions, okay? When you ask a question, you should not say, should I, this, that, and the other. Will this, that, and the other. You always say, what will happen to this? When can I expect that? So you have to formulate your question in a way that is, it's kind of like, if you're in court, you know, the way lawyers speak. You want to be very, very direct, because with tarot, it's very important that the question is crafted the right way. Okay, because you're not going to get the answer that you're looking for unless your question is crafted the right way. So the second step would be, you would do a timing spread. And you would say, when can I expect this to happen? When can I expect this marriage to happen? Or if you're waiting for pregnancy, when can I expect this pregnancy to happen with this person? And there are, you would do a spread on this, and it would show like, okay, there's the blockages, this is what's going to happen, this is going to influence it. So the whole spread is going to go through that. And then the end card is going to show the timing of it. So say for instance, we have, okay, so also I want to cover this. If you get a court card or you get a major arcana card, it means that timing is not meant for you to know at this time. Okay, so you have to ask at a later time. Sometimes Spirit doesn't want you to know these things. They want to keep that from you because you're not ready to hear that yet. So that can happen sometimes. Okay. So, but let's talk about if you get a, let's say you get a, we'll go through all of them. Days, weeks, or summer. Now, everyone's premise of this is different. You have to develop a system that you feel comfortable with, and that you feel like, I would say that some people go the difference between swords and wands. Some people feel that the swords are quicker than the wands. Some people say that the wands are spring and they're not summer. But my system is, okay, wands represent summer. Okay, think about summer. What happens in summer? It's
fusion in this, yeah.
Yeah. So you want to also memorize this in your subconscious mind. You have to really put this in your subconscious mind, so that when you're bringing the timing up, you're like, all right, okay, all right. So for the wands, it would be days, weeks, or summer. Days, weeks, or summer. Okay. With the swords, and also, by the way, so this would be 8. This would be 8 days or summer. Okay, because it's 8 of wands. So that would be the same if you were the ace of wands. It would be 1 day, 1 week, or it would be the summer. So same thing with swords. Oh God, I got the 10 of swords. All right, so same thing with swords. So swords would be days, weeks, or winter. Because think about what happens with the winter time. There's not a lot of growth and stuff like that. So think about a scene that they have in the tarot. They have, for the wands, you can see there's a lot of deserts. There's a lot of hot things going on. With the swords, there's not a lot going on. It seems like it's very cold. So it is the winter in my system.
Right.
All right, in the cups, same thing. Okay, so with the cups are a little different. The cups would represent weeks or months. Okay, or the springtime. And in this case scenario, it's 4 cups. So it would be 4 weeks, 4 months, or it would be the springtime, around the springtime. And the pentacles. Let me grab one that's, here we go. Yeah, Ace of Pentacles. Okay. So the pentacles would be months or years. Okay, so months or years. So Ace of Pentacles would be 1 year, all right, or 1 month, and or it would be the fall in my system. So it would be the fall. So these are all things that you have to subconsciously keep in mind. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about with this? Okay, so if I wanted to find out what the person looked like or what the person was like. Mm-hmm. So if I wanted to find out the personality of a person, I would take all the court cards out of my deck, shuffle them, and you pull a couple of court cards out to see what this person's personality is going to be like. So this is another thing you're going to have to get your subconscious mind. You'll have to learn what each of the court cards mean, like personality wise, because you know, like the Ace of Wands, excuse me, the King of Wands is, you know, a natural born leader. It's someone who takes a charge of someone. You know, it's somebody who is passionate, creative. So then you're going to have to go and memorize what each suit means. So like, for instance, the cups are more about emotions, you know, so it's more of an emotional kind of person. The wands are more creative and like, you know, they're like really passionate, they're impulsive, you know, and then you have the earth sign, they're a little bit slower, you kind of like a Saturn kind of type, you know, take their time, very good with their money, you know, so forth. Let's see, swords, they're more of a thinker, they're a communicator, they're a talker, they're more political kind of a person, you know. Let's see, and if you wanted to find out the place of where a person, where are you going to meet this person? Where are you going to meet this person? So what you would do is you would pull a card, shuffle your deck, pull the card, and you'll analyze. And actually, I really do use a very blended technique for all of these. So I just want to say that you can do a lot more. I like to do a lot more of a blended technique for all this, but I'm just keeping it very simple. So to see where a person, you're going to meet a person, you would just pull the card and you would analyze what's in that card. What's in that card? So, so for instance, if you pulled the sun card, I'll just give an example. You pulled the sun card, it's going to be sunny. It's going to be hot. There could be, you know, you look at the card and you analyze exactly what's in the card. See what's in the card, if there's flowers in the card, if there's a garden, if there's other people in the card, is there a group of people around, is there this, is there that? So you just kind of go through it and you kind of, you use your intuition and you see what your eye draws you to, okay? That's what's going to give you the details. And go with your first response too, you know, your intuition, don't second guess yourself, let it come through, okay? Let it come through. Let's see what else.
Astrology that I'm getting. So when I really need yes or no for my own self, then I take help of tarot. So definitely, yeah, the confusion is about the summertime or the springtime. You know, there is always a confusion in that. Otherwise, everything is fine. So which you clarified.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the timing actually in astrology, we use planets, right? We use the planets, we use the divisional chart, like divisional chart, especially D9, that is the Navmansha, the ninth part of the birth chart. That is what is divisional chart number 9. So we have to see, first of all, we have to see Jupiter, because you see 2 planets are the major planets that we take in transit, that, you know, for timing. Suppose I discussed the promise, I discussed the dasha also. Now we are coming to the transit position in the sky. So suppose there is something which is happening, the phenomena which is creating that event. So we have to understand what exactly is Jupiter. See, Jupiter and Saturn are 2 planets which actually help in creating a particular event, you know, a progeny or you know, a childbirth or a marriage or a divorce or anything, you know, all these planets have to come to play, you know, especially these outer planets. So when Jupiter transits through a house from where he may aspect the natal Venus, because Venus is the significator of marriage, as I said, or transits over the 7th house or the 7th, share this, you know, from a long time to show you that, you know, what we are heading to. Can you see this? Okay.
Let's see.
Okay.
Yes.
This I have put up for
Wonderful.
November 8th. November 8th, what is coming our way? See, for Sagittarius people, Jupiter is going to be transiting this house of Sagittarius, first house. Can you see this? Do you understand this chart? Do you understand this chart? South Indian chart?
Oh yeah, I understand the North Indian chart. So
okay. So this is the Sagittarius sign when Jupiter will be transiting as per the sidereal zodiac. So when Jupiter transits this, and Saturn and Ketu are already there, okay. So there are people, so the trines are also going to get activated. So 9, 1, 5, these signs are going to get activated and people can have relationship. This time, during this time of Saturn and Jupiter, because Saturn is going to be here for another 2 months, you know, after January 2020, Saturn will be going into the second house from here to the Capricorn sign. So at least somebody who has is planning to get into a relationship or is waiting, especially Aries people, Leo people, or Sagittarius people, Gemini people, these people can get into a relationship. Okay, so this is a conducive period that I wanted to show, you know, because people take examples of the past events which have already occurred. So I thought I'll do something different and I will show you guys what we all are heading to. So that's something, you know, I wanted to mention. So thanks so much, Jennifer. Thanks a lot. And I hope your audience enjoyed. My audience also must have enjoyed.